Feeling overwhelmed by the challenges of being a single parent? You are not alone. Welcome to Single Parent Reset. I'm Orla, a life coach for single parents, and I'm here to help you feel calmer, more confident, and more in control of your journey. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. And if you're a regular listener, as always, welcome back. I hope your week is going well. For me this week, I actually had an article published in the Irish Independent, which I'm very happy about because the article was all about flipping the narrative that being a single parent is the worst case scenario. And feedback from it has been incredible. Thank you to everyone who's messaged me. I'm just really happy to see such a public, big media outlet running a story like that, because I'm all for just changing this narrative around single parenthood and what it looks like, and actually how there are a lot of us out here enjoying our single parent life, and it is not that one narrative that we seem to always see in the media. In the article, I spoke to other single parents to get their take on single parenthood and how it isn't their worst case scenario either, and two of them were actually previous guests in this podcast. So if you want to go check them out, there's Kerry White. Her episode is all about becoming a solo parent at 49, and Betsy Cornwell, who is the founder of the Old Knitting Factory and also the author of Ring of Salt. So go check out those two episodes if you want to hear more positive single parent stories. Okay, so moving on to today's episode. So today I want to talk about something that can keep so many single parents stuck without even realising it. And that is using blame as a coping mechanism to justify all that has gone wrong or is wrong with your life. Now, I did actually touch on this in last week's episode, but as I was recording it, I thought this topic, it deserves a whole episode. So here I am with a full episode all about blame. So let's take a breath and reset together. Blaming others or even yourself for the challenges you are facing in your life as a single parent is a very common thing I see with the clients I work with. There are so many opportunities for blame in our lives, from blaming your boss for not promoting you, for blaming the dating apps for making dating so hard these days, blaming yourself for choosing such a terrible ex-partner and having to be on the dating apps again, or blaming the system for feeling impossible to further yourself as a single parent, blaming Jeff Bezos for the fact that your Amazon package did not arrive in time for World Book Day, leading to many tears in your household. Basically, for anything that doesn't go right in your life, be it big or small, there's an opportunity for blame, be it yourself or someone else, and case closed. Well, aside from the fact you are still dealing with the results of it, but at least the blame has been put somewhere, right? Well, no, not quite. It can be all too easy to use blame as your comfort blanket to protect you from having to take action or make change. Sitting in blame is a convenient narrative to play out for yourself, and one that most likely will be backed up by the loved ones around you. So let's say you may still be livid, upset and angry that you only get to see your children 50% of the time because your children's parent decided to get up, walk out and leave you, and now you are co-parenting across two households. That is a very valid thing to hold many negative emotions about. However, sitting and placing the blame onto the co-parent and how much this is all their fault, it may help you make sense of the situation, but what it's not doing is helping you improve the situation or move forward. Many people, they get stuck at this point, but real growth and power, it actually comes when you gently put down that blame and start looking at what is in your control now and move forward. Now, this can be a hard one for many people to get their heads around because perhaps you are dealing with looking at your bank account each month and beyond stress, thinking, how are you going to get by? And meanwhile, you've not been getting any support from your children's other parents. Of course, you would want to pin all the blame on them. But the sooner you can let go of the blame, the sooner you can move from being stuck and start taking accountability and action for where you are now, regardless of what or who has contributed to you being here. It may involve acceptance of a reality you've been pushing away. And I'm not going to lie, it can at times be an uncomfortable and confronting process when you realise just how much power you may have left sitting with that person, putting all the responsibility for your current reality on them, and therefore keeping you exactly in the situation you are blaming them for. when instead you could have all this time been focusing, not looking into the past of what was done and by who and keeping yourself there, but instead looking forward and where you want to be. So today we are gently, and I say gently because I do want you to be so kind to yourself in this process, as this isn't about beating yourself up if you have been stuck in a story of blame. This is about recognizing it and moving away from the blame and towards what really matters, and that is where you are now and what is truly in your control. The first thing I want to talk about is how blame can actually be holding you back. It can be such a sneaky one because it seems fully justified to sit and put all that is going wrong on someone else. And your friends and your family will no doubt, they're going to agree. Isn't it awful that this has happened to you? How dare they? That should never have happened. You do not deserve this. These are all phrases that can be flung about when blame is cropping up. Each of these, though, what they are doing is they're contributing to placing you as the victim and giving away all of your power. And there's an important distinction. Acknowledging what happened, absolutely healthy. Feeling anger, hurt, frustration, completely valid. But it is staying in a cycle of analysing and retelling the story over and over again. That is where you can start to get stuck. Now, let me be clear. It is awful that this happened to you. You don't deserve this. And well, honestly, how dare they? But staying here discussing and analysing at length how you got here is a lot of energy spent keeping you there when all this energy could instead be focusing on what you're going to do about it. And I'm not saying that others or decisions you made in the past do not have a part to play, but sitting and telling the story and justifying your reality all based on something outside of your control, be it other people's actions or actions you made in the past, it can make you completely paralysed from taking responsibility from your current reality and looking forwards. And this is exactly how blame can keep you stuck. Now we are clearer on the impact of blame and how it can keep us stuck, let's move on to dealing with it. When it comes to blame, it is so important that you start to become aware of when blame is actually the thing that is blocking you from moving forwards, because a lot of the time it is not going to feel that way. It feels like you're just explaining the situation. It feels like you're being honest about what's happened. It feels justified. But underneath it, blame can quietly be the thing that is keeping you stuck in the same place. So I want you to think about something in your life that you're finding challenging at the moment. Maybe it could be your co-parenting situation. You might be thinking, oh, this is so difficult because of them. They don't communicate properly. They don't show up how I need them to. They make everything harder than it needs to be. And that could all be very true and valid. But if your focus stays here, all your energy is tied up in something that you cannot control. And it becomes really hard to move forward and make things feel even slightly easier for yourself. Or it could be your finances. You might be thinking, I'm in this position because I don't get enough support, or because everything is so expensive, or because the decisions I made in the past were just idiotic. Again, all very valid. But if that's where your thinking stays, it can stop you from looking at what is actually available to you now, even if it's small. Maybe dating could be the thing that is challenging in your life at the moment, and you could find yourself saying, this is impossible because the apps, they're just awful. There's no good people out there. Or I can't believe I have to start again because of what happened in my last relationship. Again, these may all sound like very valid reasons for wanting to blame others. But when we stop at the point of blame, we also stop ourselves from making things better for ourselves. But if that's the loop you stay in, it can keep you from approaching it differently. So as you think about your own situation, I want you to ask yourself, where am I placing the blame here? And more importantly, is that helping me move forward? Or is it keeping me stuck? Again, it might be surprising and confronting to recognise actually how much blame has been blocking you, and give yourself the time and grace to sit with this question and see what comes up for you. So now that we've acknowledged where the blame is showing up for you, the next step is all about gently pushing that blame down. And I want to be really clear here. You are not ignoring what happened. You are not saying it was okay. And you are not pretending it did not impact you. You are simply choosing not to carry it in the same way anymore. So let's take a moment here and just acknowledge and accept the situation for what it is now, regardless of how you got here. Pause. Let it just be what it is. And to help you, a mantra you could use in this moment is, I recognize the damage that was caused by this person or this situation, but I am putting down the blame. I do not need to hold this anymore. This no longer serves me. I am ready to move forward on my terms, not in the terms of the past. So again, I'm going to say that mantra to you. It's a really important one that can help. I recognize the damage that was caused by this person or this situation, but I am putting down the blame. I do not need to hold this anymore. This no longer serves me, and I am ready to move forward on my terms, not on the terms of the past. And what we are doing here is creating space between you and the story that has been keeping you stuck. And once that space is there, something really important will become available to you. You can actually then start looking at your current reality, not through the lens of who caused it, but through the lens of what can you do with it next. So I want you to think about this. I'm responsible for how I move forward. So what action can I take right now? And action is going to look different for absolutely everyone, but some examples. If you're in the co-parenting situation, the action might be, instead of focusing on how they communicate, you start focusing on your boundaries, how you respond, what you will and won't engage with, and where you can reduce emotional friction for yourself. Or if finances is a challenge for you, action could look like shifting from this is not fair into what is one small practical step I can take this week. And that might be looking at a support option, reviewing your expenses, or having a conversation you've been avoiding. Or if dating is your biggest woe at the moment, action could look like moving away from dating is impossible and instead getting really clear on, well, what do you actually want now? And thinking about this not from frustration, but from intention. So maybe this will be choosing to pause on the dating apps for now, or changing how you use them. The action, it doesn't need to be a big, huge, massive thing. It just needs to be something that's going to work for you. And that's the shift here. It's from blame to choice, from replaying the past to actually shaping your future. And I do want to acknowledge that for some people, this may be a heavy episode for you to listen to as you begin to recognize the hold blame has maybe had on you. So please do take your time and come back to this episode if you need to. As this isn't an overnight fix, some things they are going to take longer to release the blame from, and that's okay. This is a new skill that you are learning, and once you start to notice when blame is at play, even in the smaller things, you will start to notice that you move yourself out of victim mode and feeling more like you have full ownership of your life and where you are headed again. I hope from listening today you've got some insight into what role blame is playing in your life and where it's keeping you stuck. It really is all about where your energy goes when life feels hard, unfair, or out of control, and how easy it is to stay in the story of what went wrong, who caused it, and why it shouldn't have happened. Because that story, it can make perfect sense of things. But even when something is valid, even when it is unfair, it can still keep you stuck if it becomes the only place your attention lives. And the shift we talk about today, it isn't about denying any of that. It's just about noticing, where is my focus now, backwards or forwards? You don't have to agree with what happened in order to stop letting it run your presence. And you don't have to excuse it to start gently bringing your energy back to yourself. So today, just notice where your blame is showing up, and instead of getting stuck there, ask, what is one area of your life you could loosen the grip on blame today? Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. I do have a favour to ask. Could you please share this with one other single parent in your life that you think maybe could do with listening to this week's episodes, because it maybe could help them a lot more than you even know. And if you want to know more about working with me, be it the one-to-one coaching or the workplace inclusion work that I do, go over to my website. It's solascoaching.com. So it's SOLAS coaching.com. All the details there about all the other stuff I'm up to. But in the meantime, have a good week, look after yourselves, and I'll speak to you next week.